You're walking to your car in an empty parking lot at night. The lot is quiet. Your footsteps echo off the concrete. Then you hear something behind you. Probably nothing. Maybe a shopping cart rolling in the wind, or a door closing somewhere far away. But your heart is already pounding. Your palms are already damp. Every muscle in your legs is ready to run, right now, before you've even decided to be afraid. You tell yourself you're being ridiculous. This is a parking lot, not a jungle. There is no lion here. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain doesn't know that. As far as your nervous system is concerned, that sound could be a predator. It could be something that wants to kill you. And for almost the entire history of your species, it actually could have been. You are not imagining a threat. You are running software that is millions of years old. For roughly 200,000 years, modern humans lived as small bands of hunter-gatherers, moving across open landscapes filled with animals that could kill them in seconds. Lions. Hyenas. Leopards that dragged sleeping humans out of camp at night. A rustle in the grass wasn't a minor inconvenience. It was a life-or-death decision, and you had about half a second to make it. The humans who froze, who calmly weighed the evidence, who thought, it's probably nothing, did not always survive to pass on that trait. The humans who reacted first and thought later did. So evolution built you a shortcut. A part of your brain called the amygdala, a small almond-shaped cluster of neurons buried deep in your skull, whose entire job is to detect danger before you're consciously aware of it. The neuroscientist Joseph LeDoux spent decades mapping this circuit, and what he found changed how scientists think about fear itself. Your amygdala doesn't wait for your conscious mind to analyze a threat. It reacts first, and asks questions later. A shadow that might be a snake will make your body flinch before the rational part of your brain even registers that you saw something. You jump backward. Your pulse spikes. And only afterward does a slower, smarter part of your brain check the evidence and say, calmly, it was just a garden hose. That gap between the flinch and the explanation. That's not a flaw. That's the whole point. Because here's the thing evolution never solved: false alarms are cheap. Missing a real threat is fatal. If your ancestor heard a rustle in the grass and it turned out to be wind, they wasted a few seconds of adrenaline. Mildly annoying. If they heard a rustle and ignored it, and it turned out to be a leopard, they were dead, and so was their entire genetic line. So natural selection didn't build a brain that's accurate. It built a brain that's paranoid. A brain that would rather be wrong 1,000 times than right just once, too late. That trade-off worked extremely well on the savanna. It works less well in a parking lot, an email inbox, or a group chat. This is where the physiologist Walter Cannon comes in. In 1915, Cannon coined the term fight or flight to describe exactly what was happening in your body in that parking lot. Your adrenal glands flood your bloodstream with adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate climbs. Blood is redirected away from your digestive system and toward your muscles. Your pupils dilate so you can see better in low light. Your body, in other words, briefly transforms itself into the most effective possible machine for either sprinting away or fighting for its life. It is an extraordinary system. It has kept your bloodline alive for 200,000 years. The problem is, it wasn't built to distinguish between a lion and a passive-aggressive email from your boss. Your amygdala treats both the same way, because from a purely mechanical standpoint, both are a signal that something threatening just happened, react now. The stressed neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky, who spent decades studying wild baboons in Kenya, put it simply: zebras get stressed for about 30 seconds while they're actually being chased by a lion, and then it's over, one way or another. Humans, on the other hand, can trigger that exact same stress response just by imagining a conversation that hasn't happened yet. Think about that for a second. A zebra's stress response ends when the lion is gone. Yours can run for hours, replaying an argument, rehearsing a confrontation, bracing for a phone call that might never come. Have you ever noticed how a single unread message from the wrong person can hijack your entire afternoon? That's not a personal failing. That's a 200,000-year-old alarm system, going off in a world it was never designed for. Sapolsky's research helped explain why this constant, low-grade activation is so costly. Your body isn't meant to stay in fight or flight mode for hours, days, or years at a time. It's meant to spike hard, resolve fast, and return to baseline. When that system stays switched on, chronically, quietly, in the background, it starts to wear on you. The neuroscientist Bruce McEwen called this cumulative cost, allostatic load, the price your body pays for adapting to stress that never fully switches off. Elevated blood pressure. Disrupted sleep. A weakened immune system. All from a threat detection system that is, technically, working exactly as designed. Here's the counterintuitive twist, though. This isn't a design flaw you need to fix. It's a mismatch you can understand. Your ancestors didn't need to regulate their stress response, because their environment did it for them. The lion showed up, the stress spiked, the lion left or the threat ended, and the stress came back down. The environment provided a beginning and an end. Your environment doesn't do that anymore. Notifications don't end. Inboxes don't end. The news cycle doesn't end. Social comparison doesn't end. You are living inside an environment that manufactures an infinite stream of ambiguous, low-grade threats, each one small enough to seem irrational to worry about, and frequent enough to keep your amygdala permanently on duty. So the next time your chest tightens because of a text message, or your stomach drops because someone used a slightly cold tone in a meeting, or you feel a flash of panic scrolling past a headline, remember what's actually happening. That is not weakness. That is not overreaction. That is a system built for lions, doing its job in a world built for neither lions nor peace. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If your body still reacts as though every stranger's footsteps might be a predator, how much of your day is actually spent fighting battles that ended 200,000 years ago? You can't switch the system off. It's older than language, older than agriculture, older than the idea of a parking lot. But you can start noticing when it fires. You can start asking, in that half second before the panic takes over, is this actually a lion? Most of the time, it isn't. Most of the time, it's a notification. A tone of voice. A thought about tomorrow. And your ancestors, the ones who survived long enough to become you, would probably be relieved to know that. They spent their entire lives running from real predators so that, one day, someone in their bloodline could finally stop running from imaginary ones. So the next time you're walking through an empty parking lot at night, and your heart starts pounding at a sound that's probably nothing, don't fight the feeling. Just notice it for what it really is. Not fear. Memory.